Welcome back to my podcast, listeners. We're on episode 68, and last time in episode 67, I told you about how hanging out with Daisy, I tried to transform my appearance. Nonetheless, I couldn't fathom anyone being interested in me or actively seeking my company. Here I was, full of insecurities, socially awkward, painfully aware of my shortcomings, especially in social situations such as not hearing as well as others. Here's where this awareness severely impacted my social interactions. In the past, if I did not understand something that Ruby said, because she tends to speak in a slightly more muffled way than the average person. So if I did not understand something that Ruby said, I'd ask her to repeat. She'd get annoyed. If she repeated and I still didn't get it, she wouldn't tell me again. I'd beg and she just wouldn't. This made me aware that people didn't like to repeat themselves. So I'd try to fill the gaps with guesswork. I extrapolated this to all social situations. Add to this my attention disorder. I don't know if the anemia was responsible for this or something genetic that affected my attention, but I'd find myself sitting in class having missed chunks of what the teacher had said. I'd be too scared to ask questions in case the information had already been given and I'd be scolded or shamed. Anyway, there were plenty of instances where I was shamed. I didn't need more of that. So, for instance, if Dad or Ruby were explaining a math problem to me and I wasn't getting it, I wasn't understanding it, they'd repeat and then get increasingly frustrated as I still didn't get it. So, I'd just say I got it just to end the torture. Similarly, when driving around Bombay, Dad would quiz me as to where we were, since we'd been on the same roads all our lives, but I wouldn't know where we were. This would prompt some shaming comment. So when Dad would ask, I'd look at my surroundings desperately for cues. If I saw the address on a shop name plate or on a street sign, I'd triumphantly say the location name, but Dad wouldn't be fooled and would ask where I read it. So there was no winning. I learned to not ask questions for fear of ridicule. And if somebody brought up new information in a conversation with the intention of being asked about it, I simply wouldn't understand that and I would just pretend I already knew what they were talking about, whereas I would be completely clueless. This made me seem not too bright and uninteresting and kind of not a good conversationalist. And I'd just wait to wriggle out of that conversation and get some relief from the stress it was causing me. I'd get more and more flustered if someone tried to engage with me. Add to it my weird look with my oily braids and those home-stitched clothes, which I actually did not like. It was with this background that I entered college. I was painfully aware of how comfortable everyone else seemed with themselves, while I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I didn't identify with the desi crowd, nor did I identify myself with the cool crowd. I was oscillating constantly between these two worlds, never quite embracing either. Thus, I found myself attending college with my straight, silken, knee-length hair flowing and attempting the look of the season with oversized striped casual shirts tucked into a huge studded low belt and cotton trousers beneath. During the Daisy Phase disaster, the captain of the college football team noticed me. He was a Sardar boy, Jaspir Pangu. He wore a patka over his head and in spite of that was extremely good looking and cute. I'm guessing that he had found out some information about me, so I guess he knew that I was a jatti. He asked for an introduction and I could not even believe that such an incredibly good looking guy was interested in me. He had a group of friends that were from different backgrounds. Archana, who called herself Archie, was a slightly overweight, dusky, ordinary looking girl. Yet, she carried herself as though she were really important, like she mattered. That surprised me. In my mind, you could only do that if you looked as pretty as Daisy or had some other outstanding qualities or were from South Bombay with a privileged upbringing. And yet this Archie girl had all the airs of the super confident. Her friend was Swadha, a girl with a short perm at the top of her head and behind the hair was straight and shoulder length. That was the trendiest and latest look of the time when I was in 11th standard. These girls were from Thane. Archie, Archana, the Maharashtrian girl. I'm not sure about Swada. And I wondered how these Thane girls considered themselves cool. And how were they so self-assured? When Swada mentioned casually that her mom gave her 50 rupees whenever she needed it, I was surprised. My mom gave me 10 rupees to keep in my wallet, with the understanding that it was for emergencies only. I walked from Hillside to Vikhroli station, then took the train, then walked up to Ruya College. I had a first class season ticket that my mom had got me. It was also called a pass. The bus that went to station from Hillside had not yet started at that time, and anyway you had to walk all the way from that soaps buildings up to the gate, which was still a 5-6 minute walk. So other than Archana and Swada, the third girl in that group was a Tamilian girl called Priya. Priya dressed traditionally and conservatively and wore her wavy hair in a braid. She looked very plain. She had glasses, and yet, to my surprise, she seemed completely comfortable in her skin and was, surprise, surprise, completely confident. This flabbergasted me. How were these girls doing this? Two guys in this group were Rishi and Peru. I know Peru never found out his real name because I never asked. Then a Maharashtrian guy, I want to say Abhijit, but I have forgotten his name. And then there was Nitin Shetty, who I later found out was doing his PhD there. Very conveniently, I switched from Daisy and Paresh's group to Jasbir's group. And since I was in the frame of mind that no guy could possibly be interested in me, I just thought these people were okay to have me hang out with them, not having any inkling that Jasbir actually liked me. How I found out, I'll tell you in the next episode. Till then, stay healthy, stay happy. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.